Hey there, Kenneth French of Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. We're very, very happy you stopped by. Either you're going to watch this or listen to this because you want to take your business to the next level. You're probably an entrepreneur who's either just starting out or you've been around for quite a while and you want to take your business to the next level. You're probably a real estate investor, maybe even a real estate agent, maybe a professional or of some sort, professional advisor of some sort. And well, you are stopping by because you need some valuable advice from one of the top industry leaders there is. Anyway, thank you very much. Once again, Kenneth French, Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. Really glad you stopped by.
We are talking to Mr. Uber of Grass, Bryan Clayton. We're going to add some value to you. We're going to talk about like how to take an old school industry or maybe an old school company and turning it into new school using business automation, artificial intelligence, and really his journey from, well, basically a lawnmower to using technology to work all the way across the country. And it's a pretty cool story. Bryan, thanks a lot for being here.
It's so great to be back with you. Thanks for having me on.
Real quickly, why don't we talk about your journey? Because it's pretty cool. Go ahead and mention a little bit about your background. I think it's going to blow some people away because you are the Uber of grass,
If you need to get your lawn mowed and you don't feel like calling around on Craigslist or something, boy, do I have an app for you. GreenPal. GreenPal is the way to get your lawn mowed just by pushing a button. And GreenPal is a 10-year overnight success. Been building this app for over a decade, but now nationwide in the United States, you can use it to hire a lawn mowing service or a landscaper without making a phone call, even if your grass is 5 feet tall. And before GreenPal, I actually had a landscaping business. I started mowing grass in high school, stuck with that through college, and then over like a 15-year period of time, built that into a real landscaping company, around 150 employees. And eventually that business was acquired by a large national organization. And after that, I took what I learned on the blue collar side of running that landscaping company and learned how to be a tech entrepreneur and combine the blue collar with the tech. And that was how GreenPal came to be. And so now I took everything that was kind of old school pen and paper and made it streamlined to where the way it should be. You just push a button and get it done.
And that's the way the world's going. I mean, that's what we did with tax. Obviously we do artificial intelligence to lower tax liability for entrepreneurs. And we've been doing that for years. We're not new like everyone else. And we thought, well, wait a minute, we need to utilize technology to advance an industry. That's why we are now kind of pushing AI, not kind of, but really pushing AI in the tax world, also in the commercial property loan origination world, because AI, business automation, will help lower costs and help advance an endeavor really for the end user, that being the client. So I love that story. I think especially in mowing lawns all the way to tech, I mean, that's an unbelievable story. You know what I mean?
Totally. And I think people are getting scared about they have anxiety around how to adopt AI and what AI is going to do to their industry. And really, if you kind of look for things that are being done in a tedious way by hand, and figuring out, okay, how can I use AI to streamline that? That's a good place to start. And so a couple places that we've managed to accelerate what we're doing with AI, an obvious one was customer support. We would get 100 people an hour reach out to us, and 90 of those 100 were the same questions. And so we figured out a way, okay, well, we can create a very good, robust kind of data bank of answers to these questions and put it into a language model and then spit out those answers instantly rather than in 5 minutes. And what we found was we were able to go from 13 people handling these inbound chat and email tickets to 3. And then we measure NPS, Net Promoter Score, and that actually went up because people were getting helped a lot quicker and not having to wait 4 or 5 minutes for a response. And so that's one obvious way. But you have to monitor it. You have to inspect what you expect. So as you're implementing these things in your business, you have to use it. You have to kind of put yourself in the customer's shoes and almost secret shop your business and figure out, okay, this is what they're experiencing. Actually, is this better? Is it not? And so it took us a while to get it right. But that was one big win. Another big win was the matching of buyers and sellers. So the way it was 2-3 years ago was somebody would sign up and that bid opportunity would go out to every single lawn care service provider that was in a 15-mile radius of them. And that ended up making a lot of kind of connections that weren't necessarily the best connections, because we didn't really know and understand what makes the best connection between buyers and sellers. And so we were able to leverage AI to say, okay, no, it's actually these attributes. This person has 5 lawn mowing customers already on this street. Let's send it to these vendors first before we blast it out to everybody. And so if you can look for ways that there's like some slack in your business or some things you're doing by hand, that's a good place to start for implementing AI.
Clearly. So let's talk about that. So you went from 13 employees or customer service employees to 3. I'm sure you probably don't know the exact number, but I'm going to ask for general numbers. How much were you paying in, let's say, labor costs when you had 13? Roughly, if it's a trade secret, don't worry about it. But you know what I mean? But I'm just wondering how much roughly.
Yeah, domestically, some were offshore, but some were domestically. So domestically, these people make $15 to $25 an hour. And then offshore they make $10 to $15 an hour, and so we were able to cut that by 80%.
Yeah.
It took us 6 months to figure it out, and it wasn't an instant grand slam, but we just kept with it. We kept iterating on it, kept figuring out, okay, no, this answer isn't tuned right. We need to modify that, and actually gave the wrong answer here, and we need to figure out what went wrong there. But it was worth it, and so now we're saving hundreds of thousands of dollars. And able to actually have a happier customer because they're getting a better, more thoughtful answer than they were previously, and they're getting it instantaneously. It's strange, like these language models, even in my day-to-day kind of like emailing, like they have more empathy than I do sometimes. Like if somebody reaches out to me and they're super upset about something, and I'm like, you catch me in a bad moment, I might not give you the best, thoughtful, empathetic answer. But if I turn to a language model and say, hey, this person's upset about these things, here's what happened, craft a thoughtful, empathetic response. The AI is actually more empathetic than I am in that moment. And so it's so funny. Like it actually causes me and our customer support team to be more empathetic than we were previously.
That's pretty funny, actually. It can give a better answer, and it's a lot quicker, I'm sure,
and more thorough,
and more thorough, more accurate sometimes too.
Yeah. And so don't be scared about these things, is what I try to tell folks, and don't have anxiety around it. Treat it like an experiment. Try to say, okay, I'm gonna experiment with implementing this AI tool, or just do it by hand, taking something out of this spreadsheet and throwing it into ChatGPT and seeing if I can get some traction there, and just look at it like one little experiment after another, and how you're going to make it better and better is how you can kind of reduce that cognitive overhead of implementing it in your business.
Yeah. So bottom line, it saved you a bunch of money, and it's better customer experience. And who knows, you're probably going to make more money as a shareholder, as a stakeholder, than you did before, because your outlay is a lot lower now, and therefore your net income is going to be a little bit higher, and with a happier client who's going to refer you more, who's going to even increase your gross revenue even more, probably.
Total win-win. And I was talking with a guy that runs a large plumbing business in Nashville, Tennessee, a couple of months ago, and he was telling me about how they implemented it in their business. Was that they had to manually figure out which customer work order was best for which tech. And so this was like a trained person in the office that would say, okay, this person has a leaky faucet. It's an old faucet. Actually, Jerry's really good at that. Let's match him with that. And so this person would have to manually figure out the nuances of each tech's skill sets and what the needs were for the work order. And he said that he had like 6 of these people, and all day long, that's all they were doing. And they were able to reduce it to one person who's managing the dashboard from the AI that they implemented in-house, to where all of this happens just streamlined on the fly and quicker and actually better. And so if you can look for things in your business that are being done in a manual way, that you're hand cranking either through text messages and voicemails and spreadsheets, and figure out a way to streamline aspects of them, you can get a better result for a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, I get it. So, by the way, how does someone how does someone give you a test, see if your AI, et cetera, is any good? What's your what's your website, by the way?
There you go. Yeah, just go to greenpal.com. Anywhere in the United States, any city with over 20 or 30,000 people, you can use it and sign up. You get 4 or 5 free quotes for lawn mowing service within a few minutes. And then if you like one of them, you can hire them. And then there's a little chat bubble on every screen on the app and on the website. You can engage with it and ask it questions and say, hey, is weed eating included in this price? Or can they come today? Or my grass is 4 feet tall. How does that change the price? Play with it and see what you think.
And that's run by AI. Well, I'm going to ask some nitty gritty questions because remember, some of our people who are listening are real estate agents, and they do have operating businesses. So I'm going to ask some nitty gritty questions. You don't have to answer if it's proprietary knowledge, but what system are you using, by the way?
We use intercom.com as the in-app chat, and so we create the kind of self-help articles. So there is a self-help kind of section that where people can ask questions, but that then integrates with the chat. And so when somebody asks it a question, it relies on all of the articles we've created, but also all the previous conversations we've ever had with hundreds of thousands of users. And it uses that to say, okay, this is the answer for this question. And if that doesn't work, then a live person steps in. But 9 times out of 10, it helps the person with whatever their query is.
Question. So you have wait a minute. If you said you've got all these conversations with users, that means you've recorded a bunch of conversations and you've put that into your knowledge base. Is that all right?
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. And also text conversations as well, previous chats and emails. So all of that has gone into the data bank of, okay, this is all of our proprietary knowledge that goes into these contexts of what people need, and it pulls from that to then give the best answer.
Dude, I'm impressed. You're a smart business guy. Yeah, you're ahead of the curve on that. Because we did that. We started doing that in 2018, and we've had some issues with it, man. Because sometimes our AI, and it's proprietary. We call it Einstein, our system. Sometimes I got to tell you, it answers some weird questions in a weird way. But, that's part of the growing pains.
Yeah, and there's stories about this also with bigger companies, where you can talk these things in circles. And I was reading an article the other day about how an airline gave away a bunch of free tickets to somebody who talked it in circles and was able to do that, and actually a car dealership that sold Chevys ended up recommending a Tesla. So there's there's examples where when it goes wrong, you got to figure out, okay, what is the root cause that caused this, and tweak it. It's a never ending thing that you're always optimizing.
But the way I look at it, yeah, sure, sometimes the AI is going to be wrong. Einstein's going to be wrong. But then again, some of our employees might answer stuff wrong. I might answer some stuff wrong. So, there's give and take both ways. But if we can have the AI model, which is a lower cost, help us, who knows, maybe we can help more customers at a lower cost because we have the AI. Maybe we'll make a couple of pennies because our gross revenue is high, and then our expenses are a little bit lower, so we'll make a couple of bucks. But more than anything, we can lower the prices for new potential prospects because we have employed the AI that's hopefully answering correctly all the questions.
Absolutely, and more thoroughly too, because as human beings, we get tired, we get lazy. We don't want to sit there and look up what it is they want in a thorough way, and we don't want to give them the most complete answer. So we're just going to type out whatever the shortest, quickest way that we think is that can help them. But an AI response is more thorough, and it's gonna in a more efficient manner look up what they need. And so an example in our business is somebody says, hey, how many mowings have I had this year, and what did I pay for all of them, and who do I have scheduled, and what are the dates? Well, previously the CS person might say, hey, well, you can find that on your account. Just go to my schedule and look it up. But now with AI, it has all that information. You say, well, here it is right here. And so it's kind of like almost an interface that you can just talk to And that's a big win, because then you've got a happier customer. It means they're going to stick with you. They're going to refer people.
Right.
It's just a win-win-win across the board.
Yeah. I just thought I'm going to ask a question that's going to potentially add for some new business for you. So let's say I'm a real estate agent. I bet you want to work with real estate agents, right? For them to refer you business. Remember, we have at least 2,000 direct kind of under our we have 2,000 people who have kind of a direct line of communication with as far as real estate agents, and then another 1,800 that kind of listen to us. So we're a pretty good market for it. So I'm assuming if an agent used AI, a real estate agent used AI, they can even automate a conversation with you and not you, but your AI, and meaning get the conversation going with the end user client, meaning their client, the real estate agent's client, to kind of get the ball rolling, and there's not much interaction that's going to be required of the real estate agent. All correct, right?
Totally. And the other thing is managing these types of interactions across multiple physical locations is what our platform is built for. And so we have a lot of investors, a lot of realtors that use the GreenPal platform to manage dozens or hundreds of locations across different cities all over the country. And so anybody listening to this that wants to try it out for that's what it's built for.
Yeah. So if I know, as an example, I'm going to real estate agent office tomorrow, it would be a good idea for me to talk to the head of that group, the managing director, and say, hey, you guys should be using, Bryan's group, and he can make it on. Okay. I got you. So for all those real estate agents out there, I don't get any percentage of any gross revenue that Bryan does, but should give a listen, especially if it's easy and it's automated. And who knows, maybe you can end up getting more sales because your client's grass is cut in the way that it should be. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. We have a realtor in Atlanta that loves to use it because she believes that a freshly cut lawn helps her sell a house.
Right.
And then we have property managers that use it because they would rather just pay $25 to have somebody mow the yard than get a $400 bill from the municipality because their tenant didn't mow the yard. So yeah, it can make life easier if you're selling property or investing in
it. Yeah. Yep. So you also want to talk to real estate coaches who are teaching flipping and other investors how to do more real estate deals. That would be a group you'd want to talk to, correct?
Totally, yeah. And I mean, it's a tool that you're going to need if you're investing in real estate. You're going to need a good roofer. You're going to need a good pressure washing guy. You're going to need a good carpenter, and you're also going to need a good landscaper. And that's what GreenPal is built for: is to put you in touch with the best fit landscaper in your town that you're operating in, without having to make a bunch of phone calls.
Gotcha. Do you pay not for me, but do you pay affiliate fees to, let's say, someone who has thousands and thousands of real estate investors under them?
We should start an affiliate program. We don't have one yet, but it's in the works. Something where we can share that revenue that somebody brings to us. Up until now, if we've got 300,000 give or take people using it every week.
Holy crap! Really?
Yeah. Using it every week all over the United States to get lawn mowing done, and around 10% of those are real estate investors. We want to grow that number. We want to grow the number of professional people using it. And develop that. And we're working on a better dashboard that makes it easier to manage 100+ locations. Right now, if you get up to about 100 locations in our dashboard, it gets kind of confusing. And so we're working on making that a lot easier to manage. So for investors that have thousands of properties, they can load that stuff onto our system.
Got it. I've got when we're offline, I got a referral for you. That you'd like. Anyway, okay, let's keep talking about this. This is a good conversation. I mean, anyone who's in an old school industry, let's say plumbing, grass growing, anything, you are the guy to actually listen to one story because you've taken it from old school to new school. I like to say much like us. So let me ask, what's your background? How did you get to do that? Because I know my background and I know I've been able to do it. What's your deal, man? I can't figure it out because you got to be pretty smart to be doing that stuff.
Well, I don't know if I'm smart or just relentless, but I started, I ran a traditional blue collar contracting company for 15 years in lawn and landscaping. And so that was kind of like the first act of my entrepreneurial journey. Learned everything from how to manage and lead people and grow teams and how to run a sales process, and had to learn all that the hard way. And then when that company was acquired, I thought I knew everything there was to know about small business and getting a business going. But then I realized starting this company that, man, I'm basically starting from scratch again. I had to go back to the basics, and really at that time, YouTube was just getting going. So it was like YouTube University for 10 hours a day, learning how to code, learning how to write software, learning how to build software. And so I self-taught myself a lot of things around bringing a software product to market. And so combining the blue collar with the tech has kind of been my secret sauce over the last 10 years building GreenPal. But I know enough to be dangerous to then be able to lead and delegate people who are smarter in each little skill to do it better than I could. When we were starting GreenPal, I tried to delegate everything and not know how to build software, and that blew up in my face. It's like anytime I've tried to delegate something I don't know anything about, it's always just been a train wreck. So I've learned the hard way. Get dangerous at it, get 80-20 good at it, then you can delegate it.
I know exactly what you mean. Believe me, I know what you mean. So, okay, so thanks for that history lesson about Bryan, Mr. Uber of Grass, which I love that. I love that. So what are some pitfalls to moving from old school to the new school AI as an example, in your viewpoint?
Yeah. So the first is not managing your expectations around what you're going to get. So you have to approach this from an experiment mindset. Like, okay, I'm going to try this little thing with this group of users or customers, and then I'm going to see how it goes, and I'm going to observe what happens. And this is going to be an experiment. And then based on that experiment, I'm going to make adjustments, or I'm going to have to go back to square one. And then in the next round, I'm going to try it with a few more customers, and then I'm going to slowly kind of work my way through maybe levels of a video game, little bit at a time, before I completely roll this out. The problem is that a lot of small business owners, founders, they just want a plug and play solution, and they can say, okay, well, I'm going to buy this off the shelf AI solution or this off the shelf SaaS solution. I'm going to put it in place, and I'm not going to try 6 or 7 different ones. I'm just going to try the one that is well marketed or the one that's top of mind, and then it doesn't get uptake from customers. It doesn't get uptake from team members, and then they're like, well, that was a waste of time. I'm going back to spreadsheets and voicemails. And so if you can approach it from a standpoint of, I'm going to try these 5 different solutions, because a lot of these AI solutions are now kind of out of the box. You can buy them off the shelf.
Totally.
You can say I'm going to try these 5 ways of doing it. I'm going to take 6 months. I'm going to try one different one each month at a time for 5 months. And then I'm going to take a month reviewing the data and figure out which was the best solution, and then doubling down on that, and then roll it out is a better way to approach it than to say, okay, I'm just going to buy this off the shelf, throw it in the mix of what my business does, and hope that it all works out. That's what trips up a lot of founders.
I'm going to go with one other downside. So we have our own technology. So we have our own, as I call it, knowledge base. But my kind of concern even as a consultant, sometimes we do some consulting with people who are trying to, go to AI and business automation, at least a little bit. The thought is, well, let's say they put all their knowledge base, as I call it, on a system, on a large language model like OpenAI or ChatGPT or Gemini with Google. Who knows, that some of that data could be compromised. I think that to a certain extent could be a reason for worry. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would be careful with any kind of proprietary info. The thing I've seen a lot of is most small business owners, most solo operators don't even have a knowledge base to begin with. It's them continuing to just regurgitate the stuff manually or doing it half done. And so if you can just take a month and build out the best knowledge base and use ChatGPT to help you with that, that's step one. But anything that's super proprietary, I would be concerned about throwing it into a language model, because we're not quite there yet in terms of safeguarding that stuff. And this is why, even though we've had a really good model from ChatGPT for over a year, we still don't have the magic that we were promised. And so I think that's why they're still trying to work the bugs out on how do we safeguard our data and not make it to where it's accessible from everybody pinging ChatGPT. So I would start with stuff that you would have in the public sphere, you would have on the website, you would have in an FAQ, that just isn't quite good enough. You're not super proud of it. I would make that A+, and then make that easily accessible and make it to where people can talk to it. Is how I would approach it, because 99% of people don't have that.
Yeah. I would, and what I say is do a FAQ, whatever, 10, 15, 20 questions, and test that out first, and then see how it goes, and then get bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah, don't throw proprietary information out there, because that would scare me, because you never know. Who knows? Maybe Google's going to get bought out, or it's going to get compromised by a hacker. You don't want social security numbers, et cetera, out there. You know what I mean?
Totally. And you could start with saying, okay, you could talk ChatGPT and say, hey, listen, I'm so-and-so, I work with this organization, and we have these 5 questions every time somebody comes to work with us. I want you to create the best self-help article you can about these 5 questions, and just start with that, and then keep iterating on it, going over and over again. Okay, make it a little bit easier to understand, and say it with 50% less words. Okay, all right, now break it out actually into 3, because the one article was a little much. And so if you just keep iterating on it over and over and over again, that's how you end up with something great. And you could do in 1 hour that would have taken a week. And so, and that's why nobody wants to spend the time to do it. Well, now you can get it done. There's no excuse to not have the best world-class self-help center for whatever your niche is, because you could do it in a weekend.
Totally. And what we do is sometimes we'll suggest to people, use one large language model, let's say whatever, ChatGPT, and bounce it with whatever, Gemini, Google's, and then it can improve. They can improve one another to the extent that they can provide unbelievable customer service answers, because there's a checks and balance system basically that's occurring between the two, and it could make a really, really good FAQ, and they could be a long one. It could even throw videos. You could do synthesia. You could do videos. Responding to questions. You could do a whole bunch of stuff with the new AI models. There's just no doubt.
Totally. And 90% of operators don't have that. They don't have that out there yet. And so let's start with that. Let's spend the weekend. Let's build that. That might have taken a week before. Now you can do it in a day, and have the best absolute world-class self-help center that you can. And then that serves as the basis for an automated kind of conversational solution that can solve 90% of people that want to speak to you, and that have questions and that chat agent only wants to do one thing: make the person happy. and so it's like, that's all they're built for. They just want to make you happy. If you can position it to work for you for free to make your customers happy, that's a level up.
Yeah, totally. By the way, it's not free, but it's really close to free, and prices are coming down. Totally. Yeah.
As compared to a human being, it's not close to free as you're going to get.
You mean a human being who doesn't want to go to work, who wants more vacation, who wants more insurance, health insurance? You mean who wants a raise every 2 weeks? Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Exactly. Totally.
By the way, not to put down all employees. I'm just saying sometimes it can be a little bit easier to use a AI, a large language model, because sometimes they're a little bit cheaper, or whatever the case is. Let's just put it that way. I don't want to upset any employees.
Well said. But to that point, I think, anybody in the workplace now, I think if you're mediocre, you're going to get pushed down and out. If you're excellent, you're going to be paid more, because if you're elite and excellent, you're going to be the arbiter of these AI models, and you're going to be the arbiter of this technology. Whereas if you're just mediocre and you're kind of going through the motions, you're going to be automated away pretty soon. And so everybody needs to be mindful of that. That's where things are going. Yeah.
If you're not, I would say if you're not using AI in some way, shape, or fashion, you're going to be left behind. And what's funny is back in the day, this blows me away. So I've been into AI really since 2010. I've been talking about it since 2010. 2018 is when we had our first model, that being Einstein. And I remember talking to one specific guy. He's basically a guru business consultant in tax. And I said, hey, we were debating. We had a debate on, at the time, anyway, you don't care about the venue, but I was saying, hey, how important AI is, and it's going to completely, it's going to completely revolutionize business, right? And he was saying AI is not going to work. No one's going to want to talk to machines that are, out thinking themselves, et cetera, et cetera. But now, by the way, he's a big time guru about AI, and he's kind of taken on the moniker of AI. But anyway, I think he caught on, and I've been texting him a little bit. Anyway, the thought is that he is really now pushing for AI, and he actually has figured out that, well, wait, for one, he's using it for marketing, but also more than anything, he now understands that he's a tax guy, right? In old school tax world, if you use AI to prognosticate taxes, that'll help. Number one. Number two, if as we've talked about, customer service and even sales, it can totally increase your net income, et cetera, et cetera. So it's totally worked out. Why am I going down that road? I guess it's another way of saying that, yeah, you got to adopt AI. And if you're not, you're going to be left behind, and you really could be left behind. Who knows what's going to happen going forward as far as AI and business automation.
Your competitors are going to do it. And that's what's gonna kill you is when your competitor has a better relationship with their customers than you do, because they're leveraging AI, and you can integrate your CRM with it and say, totally. Hey, I want to send an email to this customer because I haven't spoken with them in a couple of months, and I want to let them know I care, and here's everything they've ever done with us, and throw it in there and craft a good just, hey, how you doing email. And that, I guarantee you, is going to do a better job than 99% of people without AI, because it's going to take the time to crunch everything, put it in a well-crafted, empathetic email that is better than what you would have done, just without it. And so be a little paranoid about that.
Yeah. Because if you're not using AI and talking to your clients or patients using AI, someone else will be. If not now, they will be down the road. And what we say, and I will admit, this is overboard. When people come to us, I've been on record about saying this, because remember, I'm a Forbes.com contributor for small businesses, or I used to be, by the way. But what I would say is take a day, and this is pushing it, but just go with me here. Take an hour a day working with one large language model, whatever, Gemini, again, Google's Gemini. Take another day of the week and work with OpenAI's Chat as an example, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. An hour a day for 5 days a week. I know that's overkill, but down the road, it will pay off. Also, once a month, do a meetup. Be in charge of a meetup where you guys, either online or whatever the case is, physically get together, and let's say you, as an example, be the star. Let's say you're in lawn care, talk about AI, because good will come of that, right? Let's say you have a group of 5, 10, 20 people, good will come of that. And then at the same time, once a year or something close to thereof, go to a in-person big industry conference like AI for it. Just a little while ago, they had a big conference down in Vegas. So anyway, do 3 things. An hour a day, once a week meetup, and then do a large industry conference. You will be the stud, and you'll be somehow getting a lot of clients as a result or customers as a result of your efforts with AI. That's my thought.
Exactly. I like that. It's like a focused and a broad approach, because it's not the AI and this technology that's going to leave you in the dust. It's your competitors leveraging it that are going to leave you in the dust. So let's remind ourselves of that. It's your competitors beating the pants off of you using this tool, and you aren't. That's going to get you in trouble.
Yep. This has been a good conversation, man. I love talking to you. What's one thing? Let's get ready to land this plane. What's one thing we haven't talked about that you think the listeners and viewers could be, benefiting from AI or technology, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, it goes back to like what's old is new. So a great Sam Walton quote that I love is "Walk the store." That was something that in his biography that stuck out to me. And even when Sam Walton had 1,000 Walmart locations, he was still notorious for Sunday mornings walking the store and still pointing out things that were wrong, figuring out ways to make things better, because he was just like in the trenches, getting his hands dirty. Mm-hmm. So here we are, 50 years later, this still applies to AI. Once you have something implemented, you have to walk the store. You have to use it. You have to experience what the customer is experiencing to see if it's increasing or decreasing the experience. And so it's like a lot of these principles are still the same. even though we have AI, you can't lose sight of what the customer is experiencing, even though you've implemented this thing, and you just think you can set it and forget it, because it is never done. And if you can secret shop your own business, I think that helps you kind of course correct and making sure that you're building something that people want.
From Mr. Uber of Grass's mouth to your ears out there, that's a very good thing to listen to. Man, Bryan, I really appreciate you like that. I really do appreciate you taking the time to be with me. I know there's a lot of stuff you could do. Likewise, for the people out there who are listening, watching, there's a lot of stuff you could be doing out there. You could be watching Netflix, ESPN, or whatever. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here. And hopefully we've added some value, put some money in your pocket, maybe even lowered some of your taxes based on technology, et cetera, et cetera. Something we've said here can help you. So, Kenneth French signing off from Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. Thanks again.